Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the December 13th meeting of the Lebanon Redevelopment Commission. We'll begin this evening, as we do each Monday evening, with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty, thanks for joining us this evening, everyone. And Madam Clerk, if you could please note we are all in attendance this evening. That is wonderful for a December meeting of the RDC. That doesn't happen all that often. We do have a pretty big agenda this evening, so let's get started first with the approval of the minutes. Commissioners, I believe you all received the minutes a while back. And with that, I would entertain a motion. We've got a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
With a second. 1, 2. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. That moves us then to old business. We have a number of items under old business here. A couple of different things I'd like to discuss. So first of which, we will be going into the facade grant request. So we'll have Mr. Derek Warren talking about that. But as I mentioned to a couple of members earlier, this facade grant does expire at the end of 2022. So it would be my desire to put together a commission to discuss what the facade grant is going to look like in the future. And I have enlisted Derek's help with that. So the thought process was to have Derek as subject matter expert, of course, and then Joe LePage for community development side, the mayor, myself, and then as another RDC commissioner, Mr. Dick Robertson joining on that. So a commission of 5 folks to discuss the future of the facade program, what that looks like, and how we can move that forward. So that's kind of the thought process for 2022. The expectation there would be a deliverable in September-ish to give us a good 3 to 4 months to kind of mull on that as a full commission. So just wanted to get that out there. And then Derek, if we could just have a quick rundown of the 124 South Meridian project, please.
Thank you, Corey. Good evening, Commission. So tonight back in front of you is 124 South Meridian Street, seeking a facade grant for a new standing seam metal awning that will match in color to the second floor windows and tuck pointing on all 4 sides of the building. It's the same application that was here in November. Just to give you a quick idea again of the example of a standing seam metal roof. I guess I'm not connected, so it's not going to happen tonight. It's just a dark brown standing seam metal roof like you would see at the Clues Brews as an example of one, except for brown instead of black. The estimate breakdown for the low bid, Pioneer Restoration is the low bid on the masonry restoration at $26,800, and Metal Solutions Incorporated is the low bid on the awning at $16,857 for a total of $43,657 for the project, which puts them into Category 7. Category 7 has an estimated cost of improvements of $40,001 to $50,000. The owner's share is $13,500, and the maximum grant for this category is $36,500. The staff recommendation is for the RDC to award $30,157, which equals the $43,657 with the owner's share at $13,500.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that rundown. So just to make sure I captured the numbers correctly here. So staff recommendation was a bid, an award of $30,157, correct?
That is correct.
Perfect. Any questions from the commission? So with that, I would entertain a motion in regards to the facade grant request for 124 South Meridian.
Staff recommendation in the amount of $30,157.
All right, we have a motion
I'll second that motion.
with a second. Let's go ahead and do a roll call vote on this one, just to confirm. I know they're your favorite.
I don't even have
To read them.
it. Keith Campbell,
Yes.
Dick Robertson,
Yes.
Bob Taylor,
Yes.
John Milliman,
Yes.
He looks fantastic at the end of our table.
but neither of
But I'm not voting.
It's non-voting role.
Non-voting rule.
I also vote in the affirmative.
Hi, Corey. Would you
So
like to vote?
we'll vote in the affirmative. How does that sound?
Thanks.
So with that, the motion does carry. Mr. North, thank you very much for your patience with us. And with that, I am going to adjust the, Yes.
Derek, you may have mentioned this and I missed it. I apologize. Estimated completion date?
Estimated completion date?
I don't know, to be honest. Fighting weather, fighting supply chain issues
Byline
Yep.
issues, yeah.
as well, so now that I know we have approval.
Yep.
I don't know if you guys knew that the roof is done.
I saw the roof, saw the guys working on the roof
And
last week.
the metal flashing looks great. So we're done with that, so the next.
Can you send me the
Yeah,
paperwork
good luck.
on
Appreciate
that?
it.
Awesome.
Thank you, Derek.
Thank you very much. And while you're still at the podium, I'm going to try and save you some up and downs
Sure.
if
No, I
you're
appreciate
okay
it.
with that.
Yep.
Thank you very much. So under new business, if the commission's okay with this, we have a facade grant balance rollover request. So again, since we have Derek at the podium, I'd like to go ahead and address this. So Derek, a little bit of background on this if we could?
Sure. So we rolled over money from 2020 to 2021. Let me back up here real quick. So in 2021, we started with an extra $32,935 on top of the $250 that we reset every year with. So in 2021, we started with $282,935.05. We have that down to $106,826.45 as we sit right now. So we have a balance.
Minus the 3157.
That is minus
correct? Yeah,
that,
thank you.
yes.
And
Yep, yep.
Thank you for providing both those figures in the background notes.
Sure.
Appreciate that.
Yep.
Thank you.
So, you know, I was back and forth on whether or not to request the rollover this year or not. I've been working with several applicants over the last several years, to be honest with you. Kind of, you know, as I've mentioned in the past, it takes a little while for these to develop sometimes. They're very complex and some of them are big. So, but here kind of late in the year, I have been working closely with two applicants. These two applicants are going to be in that threshold of a maximum grant. Kind of depending on who gets here first. So I'd like to carry over the 106,000 and change, 106,826.45 to the 250 for 2022 to have the full pot available that was set aside in 2018, so that if both of these applications do develop and come before you, we have a good opportunity to fund a majority of both of them. One applicant is going to the HPC. I already have his application in January and will be coming to the RDC in February. And that is it's a substantial renovation. So like I say, it should qualify for a $200,000 grant. We're getting all the numbers put together right now. And then a second applicant is kind of coming here late. And another pretty significant application, not necessarily max. And then Mr. North is continuing to put together some other things for his building as well. So pretty high potential to have three decent-sized applications to round out the 1.25 that was set aside in 2018 and be able to spend all that down if we can carry over the money from 21 to 22.
Perfect. Any questions from the commission? Procedurally, are we just needing a vote in the affirmative or? Okay.
We've done it, we've rolled it over each year.
Perfect. And again, just as comment there, so, we have those funds set aside. We are looking to make some sort of an update to the facade program, whatever that may look like from the commission coming together and making some thoughts. So with that, I would entertain a motion to roll over the $106,826.45 into next year's facade grant program.
I'll make a motion, we approve the rollover of $106,826.45.
We have a motion.
This year to 2022.
Perfect. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much, Derek. I appreciate you.
Yep, thank you very much.
All right. Perfect. We're going to slide back up to the old business piece. Thank you, Commission, for letting me do an adjustment there. So next up, we will be discussing the Vincennes University agreement and Mr. Dave Tucker.
Thank you, Mr. Coots. Appreciate it. Dave Tucker with Vincennes University, and we have been in discussions over a good long period of time about an amendment to our lease at the Gene Haas Training and Education Center. And I believe that we have approval of a lease amendment with everything except for our in-house counsel's last review. We received it today. I have every expectation that he will give his check mark on that because he's been involved in all of the negotiations that we've had so far. And our desire would be for the commission to approve it tonight, and then I get his check off tomorrow, and we'll get President Chuck Johnson to sign off on it. In the meantime, want to thank the commission for all of its support for our efforts in Lebanon for the last 6 years, and certainly I think that because of the fact that we're here today and we weren't here last month or the month before, we were able to see kind of the next generation of what Vincennes University is going to do at the Lebanon Center, and that is that we now have 10 collaborative robots that are installed and operational at the center. It represents a huge leap forward technologically for what we can offer there at the center. Collaborative robots are robots that are safer, they're easier to program, and they're easier to operate than industrial robots, which also makes it easier for middle schoolers and high schoolers to operate them as well. So I think that there'll be application for the K-12 system. I think Dr. Milliman was there today and got a first look at it. Mr. Campbell and Mr. Robertson were there for the open house last week, and we were glad to have a good turnout from the community. And then the only other thing, I think Mr. Coots, Mrs. Thayer, Dr. Taylor, I think everybody else got these commemorative coins. We used the CNC machines that are there at the facility to machine these coins, and then we had a collaborative robot that was there to hand them out to people that came to the open house. So, and those are the kind of things that, when you aren't a technical person, like I'm not, I'm very impressed by that stuff. The engineers and technicians that actually programmed them said it wasn't that huge of a deal, but they're pretty neat. And I know I can't use this to satisfy any of my rent obligations, so don't worry. I won't send you another stack
Are
of those.
these real gold coins?
These are solid brass,
Okay.
and they have the Vincennes University logo on one side, and then they have Telemon Robotics, who's our robotics partner, on the other side.
Thank you very much.
I think we could pass those off for Bitcoin.
I do too.
That's right. So, and certainly, if there are any comments or questions, I'd be glad to take them. But I just thank the commission for all of its hard work, I know that you're making a substantial investment. You made a substantial investment in the building to begin with, and you're making an additional investment in us and in the building for us to be there. And I think we're trying to also demonstrate that this is our long-term home. We're looking forward to being there for this 5-year extension and the 2 additional extensions that we'll have beyond that. So I very much thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
Dave.
Any questions for Dave? All right. Attorney Shine, if you would give us some cliff notes here, I think that would help.
Thank you, Mr. President. Commission, again, as this body knows, this has been a several-month process going through the terms. The original lease under this particular project had a 5-year term with then multiple potential renewals of 5-year terms. And so when Mr. Tucker met with the mayor several months ago to discuss some modifications to it, we had 2 working sessions. We've had kind of back and forth on what those modifications would be. The highlights really are just amending essentially the lease term amount, and that is set forth. You've seen a copy of it. That'll be $100,000. Mr. Tucker's committed to providing annual financials to this commission to talk about it, some of the exciting things that they're doing. We also set forth a couple different modifications really to address in addition to the finances that Vincennes will provide to it, if there would be any type of net operating losses, then a discussion with that, which will begin in the years 2022 to 23. And if Vincennes would have 2 consecutive net operating losses, it could then choose, if it desired, to terminate the lease early. However, if you play that out, Mr. Tucker said he would provide this commission 1 year's notice. That's what I think we're waiting to get sign off from VU at this point, but that would effectively take us through the term of this lease. And certainly, Vincennes could desire not to exercise that early termination, and so that's why there's some changes in here. So I think, as we've talked about, the ask before this commission would be to seek the approval, if this commission desires, of this amendment. I would say potentially subject to final legal review if there were any changes, authorizing Corey as president to execute it. Certainly, if there was something that would be material, we would need to come back before this commission.
Thank you, Rob. Any questions from the commission? So with that, I would entertain a motion in regards to the lease agreement with Vincennes University.
Are we wanting to pass this subject to Vincennes' approval, right? Final approval? Yeah, okay. I'll make a motion, we approve the lease with Vincennes University, subject to the Vincennes attorney review, last review.
And then our final legal review.
Yes.
Yeah, Dick, I would add that pending their final review, but pending our acceptance with no changes as submitted.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
is the commission.
Yeah, Corey, yeah.
All right, so we have a motion to approve the lease agreement pending final legal review from both sides and authorization for me as president to sign on behalf of the commission. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Tucker. Appreciate it. Next up on the list, in regards to the same building, different lease agreements. Essentially, the Gene Haas lease agreement is of the same vein, if you will. So it was approved in the past at 4 5-year terms with renewals engaged already. And I believe, yep.
Thank you, Mr. President, Commission. This is pretty straightforward in the sense that the original lease agreement had terms that addressed going forward what the annual lease rental rate would be. You've seen a copy of that, and that's essentially 100% or 110% of what its original lease rate was. So it's just authorizing the amendment set forth in there. Again, it's a little more straightforward than the prior one.
Any questions on the Gene Haas portion? So with that, I would entertain a motion on this lease agreement.
We'll move.
Got a motion to approve the Gene Haas lease agreement as presented
Second.
with a second. Yep. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much, guys. That wraps up a fairly long discussion, so that was very nice.
I have one question.
Yes.
Are they to sign any of this? I have two for Vincent and are they to sign any of these? All right, that's all.
Perfect. Yes. Clerical confirmation there. So I believe that moves us out of our old business. Is there any old business I have failed to bring to the agenda? Awesome. So on to the new business portion. Very exciting things coming up regards to the Card Athletic Facility. So we have a couple of items on our agenda in regards to this facility. And Mr. Ben Bontrager, if you would come and give us a brief overview first on the reimbursement agreement.
Very good. I think I'll start just by giving you just some general updates on the project itself. I'm very excited with the progress we've made. There's a ton of work yet to do, but a lot of progress being made. In terms of the timing of the project, we do expect them to come in with their plans for the site in probably February and get all the approvals by April so they can start construction in the April-May timeframe this next year. They're expecting the construction schedule to be around 12 to 14 months because they're hoping to be open by late spring, early summer of 2023. So very aggressive schedule, but a number of contracts are ready to start executing and get the design work done. We're working with Lebanon Utilities on the infrastructure component of it. There's a major infrastructure projects both to serve the Waterford development to the southeast and also to serve this area here and create a lot of additional capacity in water and sanitary sewer for both these developments we're talking about, then also the areas around it. So lots of exciting things going on. I know they're expecting to close in February on the site, and then they also have a letter of intent from a multifamily developer that will actually close on their portion of the project, the 32 of the 95 acres, on the same day that that Card closes with Sharon Powell's property. So there are a lot of things moving forward on the development of the project. In terms of the conceptual design for the site, it's evolving as we speak and is actually getting a lot larger than what we had originally expected in terms of investment, a capital investment in the site. I've heard numbers as high as 250 to 270 million in total in terms of the concept that's evolving. So that is still in works, and we're seeing a lot of good things come out of that. A lot of real exciting things are going to come from that project. What we're talking about here tonight is typically in terms of a project this size, there's a larger development agreement that gets constructed. And is usually approved by both parties involved at some point during the process. We're not quite ready for that point yet, so there's one component of what would typically go into a larger agreement like that we've been working with the developer to try to get executed tonight, and that would be the reimbursement agreement. And this is due to the fact that both the city and also the developer are starting to incur some pretty significant expenses related to the project. On our side, a lot of legal time is going in and a lot of financial advisors' time is going in to starting to work on the bonds that'll be associated with the project. On their side, they've got about $1 million worth of design contracts that they want to execute related to both site and public infrastructure and building design. And what the reimbursement agreement says is we're basically giving a little bit of comfort that we're going to reduce the risk for both sides in executing all of these contracts and incurring all these expenses if somebody were to walk away from the project at some point. Either the city, quote unquote, defaults or the developer defaults or walks away from the project before the bonds close. What this essentially says is if the city for some reason decides to walk away or default on the project, the developer has the ability to ask us for reimbursement of up to $485,000 worth of their design contracts. As a result of that, the city would also take ownership of those design contracts and the products that have been produced as part of those design contracts. On the same vein, that if for some reason the developer walked away from the project at some point before bonds closed, then the city would have the right to request reimbursement of expenses up to $485,000 associated with our legal fees and financial advisor fees and such. We fully do not expect to need this agreement to be triggered and to request reimbursement. Both sides are moving full steam ahead to get these bonds closed. Mr. Shine can probably give you a little bit of an update on that. I think we're talking about closing on the bonds sometime in March. and which would be right in time with them closing on the site in February and getting this project really moving, construction started in March, April, May timeframe. So this is something that just provides a little bit of level of protection for everybody involved in this. It's incurring a lot of expenses over the next 2 to 3 months, but not something that we expect to ever need. In fact, the last call I had with the guys with Carden Associates were like, this is just something to make everybody feel just a little bit more comfortable. No intention of anybody walking away at this time. Everybody is fully committed to this project, getting this thing done. We've already been working on it for probably 12 months, and so this is one we really want to see move to fruition. There's been a lot of interest in this site and also the sites around us. This is a really important project for us moving forward. So that's kind of the quick nitty-gritty of that. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Estimated total acreage for the footprint?
The total project site is about 95 acres, and of that, there's about 82 acres that I think that are a piece of property that the developer is going to acquire. The remaining about 13 acres are land that the Redevelopment Commission actually owns from the former Holiday Inn site. So it's a total of about 95 acres. The building itself, the athletic facility is about $26 million building. And then you've got a series of commercial, retail, hospitality, multifamily that all develop around it to the tune of probably a total, including the athletic facility, about $250 million that's proposed on the site.
Very exciting.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the commission? Any other comments from Attorney Shine?
Yes, thanks, Mr. President. Commission, I think what's before you at this point, we've circulated a draft of the reimbursement agreement to attempt to capture what Mr. Bontrager was discussing. And that would be a commitment by this commission in an amount not to exceed $485,000 for potential reimbursables of professional services agreements, and we attached a number of those. We're at a stage where we feel pretty comfortable with this draft agreement, but there are still a few things that I would say we need to dot our i's, cross our t's, such as potentially what if through no fault of this commission or the city would the deal not close. We need to, at least hammer that out, but I think we're pretty close in getting it. Again, it's the flip of it would be also if the developer were to walk away, then we would want to be able to seek the reimbursement of those costs if necessary. There's also a mechanism in the agreement that you would that you may have seen, that there were several professional service agreements attached with the summary that the developer has circulated. So the intent would be if for some reason the project wouldn't close and this commission would need to pay a sum certain up to that point, that we would then be able to get those plans, design documents, be able to assume those contracts, at least to be able to go forward with the project if this commission so desired. So it's fairly complicated in that one sense, but we're hopefully never going to get to this point, so it's just trying to draft that intent in this agreement. So I believe that the ask is going to be to approve the amount not to exceed $485,000 and putting together a reimbursement agreement that would be subject to final review, legal review, and then authorizing Corey to move forward. And really what, and Ben, you may have said this, but this would allow the developer to enter into those agreements to proceed forward instead of waiting until the bond closing that could occur, in March. So to get the project moving forward.
One thing I did note about that is other than the design of the building, most of these contracts are related to public infrastructure, so something that would be of interest to the Redevelopment Commission anyway, and to the city in particular. So, and another thing, maybe just to clarify, Mr. Shine said legal review, and I would suggest that would be legal review both on the city side and also Carden Associates side. They haven't even seen the most recent draft yet, so we want to give them time to be able to make sure that they're comfortable with that as well.
Awesome. Any questions from the commission?
What is the city's anticipated, I know you're talking developer putting $250 million in, what's the city's expected cost or expenses involved with this?
Yeah, our participation is twofold. One is we're using a lease rental bond to actually finance the construction of the facility. So it's about a $26.5 million bond. That'll be repayable from a number of different sources, both TIF associated with the development. There's also a financial commitment, cash commitment from the developer himself on an annual basis. So that'll all be repaid through sources that are generated by that development itself. The second component of that second bond would be then for the infrastructure itself. We're still finalizing the numbers, but it's looking like it might be somewhere around 15 million. That would be both off-site infrastructure to do a lift station and force main to serve the area, but then also some of the on-site, both underground and road infrastructure to serve the area. And all of those would be repayable, the debt service, by revenue generated by the development internally.
Yeah.
Campbell.
I want to make sure before, not only our legal, but I'd like to have Baker Tilly approve it also.
For the
Before we,
reimbursement agreement?
yes.
I didn't catch all of that.
I said I'd like to see Baker Tilly to look at it too.
Sure.
Before we approve it. And it goes through.
Yeah, and Mr. Colton's here with Baker Tilly
Right.
to extent you have any questions. But yeah, we're happy to share it with you. Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. Any other questions before we potentially proceed? All right, so the ask this evening would be approval of a not-to-exceed amount of $485,000 for the card athletic reimbursement agreement. And we would ask that that would be subject to final legal review as well as authorization to sign by the president. So with that, I would entertain a motion.
Did Keith want Baker Tilly to review it?
Yes.
Is that part of the motion?
Also subject to Baker Tilly's
That's the same.
intervention and review.
Second that motion?
Sure.
Did he?
Yes.
Unless you want to make it, I'll let you make it. Come on.
No, you just, second.
Yes, I made the motion. Let's do it that way.
The
Are you
motion.
good with
I
that?
am.
It was a very complicated motion. It sounded really good rolling off the tongue.
got
So we're going to roll with that, and we have a second on said motion. So with that, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Appears the motion carries. So that moves us forward on that piece. Also, in regards to the card athletic facility, we have a confirmatory resolution, I believe. Are we starting with Brian on that one, or would you like to start that?
I think I'll just give a quick overview. Brian's available to answer questions if you have any on the details associated with, if you want to get that in depth. You got a lot of time on your hands. But just a quick overview, this is an additional step in the process. You had a resolution before you, it was either your previous meeting or one before that. This is essentially what we're doing here in general terms, is carving out a specific allocation area for this project out of the larger TIF area that we already have in the city. That way we can dedicate all those dollars and revenue that's generated from this development to this development, and also reset that clock on it to 25 years for any bonds that we issue in the development. So that's in general terms what we're doing here, is this additional step into carving out that specific allocation area for this site.
Great. Thanks, Ben. And with that, we will have Attorney Shine go over the resolution itself.
Thank you, Mr. President, Commission. Resolution 2021-06 is a confirmatory resolution which amends the declaratory resolution 2021-05 adopted on November 8th of 2021. So I, along with others from our office, spent a considerable amount of time with Brian Colton's team at Baker Tilly just going through the history here. You'll see this is a very detailed resolution. I'm going to hit the highlights of that, but essentially what this does is it sets forth what's happened in the economic development area over the years, what parcels have been included. There's a lot of defined terms that we discussed at the last meeting, and then what this particular project will essentially be setting up its own separate allocation area. Okay, so in a nutshell. So I'm going to hit the highlights here. Again, this commission serves as as governing body of the city redevelopment district. On July 1994, the commission adopted its Resolution 94-01, the original industrial park declaratory resolution. And there was an industrial park development plan that was included. That later, on May 19th of 2008, there was another declaratory resolution creating the City of Lebanon Industrial Park Allocation Area. Thereafter, in August of 2013, there was an amendment to the declaratory resolution that was discussed as the 2013 declaratory resolution. It was, again, thereafter amended in 2017, and all of that's set forth on page 2 of the resolution. And then on November 8th of 2021, the commission, as I indicated, adopted Resolution 2021-05, the amending declaratory resolution. And it designated certain parcels as a separate allocation area, titled the Field House Allocation Area. On November 15, 2021, the Lebanon Plan Commission issued its order, the Plan Commission order approving the amending declaratory resolution. On November 22, 2021, the City Council of Lebanon adopted its Resolution 2021-31 approving the Plan Commission order, the amending declaratory resolution, and the plan supplement. On December 2nd, this commission caused to be published in the Lebanon Recorder notice, which also gave notice of the public hearing that will be held here momentarily. Notices were also filed with officers of the appropriate taxing units that are set forth in this resolution. Whereas, following the adoption of the amending declaratory resolution, there were certain parcels that were listed on Exhibit A that were not included in the 2017 expansion allocation area, and this is the highlight. Instead, they were included in previous allocation areas under 2008 declaratory resolution and the 2013 declaratory resolution. Those parcels are listed on page 3. I'm not going to go through each of those, but what's important is this commission desires to modify the amending declaratory resolution to amend the 2008 declaratory resolution to remove parcel number 015-0831 or 341, -00 from the City of Lebanon Industrial Park Development Allocation Area and amend the 2013 declaratory resolution to remove parcels 015-31780-01, parcel 015-31780-02, parcel 015-31790-00, and parcel 015-2368-0-01, all from the City of Lebanon Industrial Park Development Allocation Area, and to adopt the 2021 Plan Supplement. Also, this commission desires to amend the 2021 Plan Supplement to remove the reference incremental personal property tax revenues, as no personal property tax increment will be captured in the field house allocation area. And therefore, this commission desires to take final action. It will modify the plan supplement in Exhibit B, amending the declaratory resolution to be replaced with the 2021 plan supplement that will be attached as Exhibit A. What that essentially means in a mouthful is that there were a couple parcels that were set historically that were in different allocations area, and we determined, and through research going back through all these resolutions, that we just needed to be more clear. Instead of taking it out of the 2017 allocation area, they needed to be taken out of the 2008 and the 2013 allocation area. And that's what all this is in a mouthful in these several pages. So,
Got it.
Okay.
So those of you following at home with your whiteboard, declaratory resolution raised to the 16th power equals the confirmatory resolution 2021-06.
I was going to ask him to repeat himself.
Correct.
I'm sure Mr. Colton with Baker Tilly would be happy to answer any questions if you so desire.
I see how that worked there. So with that, this is a public hearing, so I will officially open this portion as a public hearing. And with that, any public with comments, questions, concerns, praise? Commission members, any? I see very little fast movements towards the microphone. So I believe at this point, we will go ahead and close the public hearing. So at this point, the public hearing has been both opened and closed. And with that, any comments from the commission in regards to this confirmatory resolution? Good deal. So obviously, you see there was a lot of legal and financial background done on this project. It stems back to, not to make anyone feel younger in the room, but I was in 4th grade potentially when this thing started. So we'll call that a win. So I have come a long way from the old Perry Worth building. Very exciting program coming to the city of Lebanon. And with that, I would entertain a motion with regards to confirmatory resolution 2021-06.
I'll make a motion, we confirm resolution number 2021-06.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second it.
With a second as well. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much, everyone. Brian, any last words? We kept it easy on you tonight. Poor Rob had to spit all that out. Right. Good deal. Well, that, I believe, concludes our new business on the agenda. And that moves us forward to one of two favorite items of the evening, the first of which is paying our bills. So I would entertain a motion in regards to the claims.
Make a motion, we approve claims.
Got a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. And with that, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? The motion carries. And last and certainly not least,
Make a motion, we adjourn.
our final motion to adjourn of 2021. Do we have a second? And we have a second from the other end. So all those in favor? Aye. Aye. Thank you very much. It has been a very productive 2021 for the Lebanon Redevelopment Commission. We will see you guys in 2022.